Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Hey, I am Chuck the bureaucrat, and lately there's something I've been noticing about the veterans that I talk to. And on one hand, I hesitate to bring it up because it feels disloyal towards the community. But on the other hand, I feel that it needs to be talked about so that we can at least understand the implications of it. And here it is. When I talk to people who are about 18 months prior to the military transition or in their first 3 years afterwards, they just seem flaky. We, as a community, as we pass through that part of our experience, we just don't sound like we have an idea of what we're doing with our lives. In fact, this came up because I was having a conversation with a hiring manager at a company he's genuinely trying to hire retirees and veterans, and he said that he has completely stopped using that "where do you see yourself in 5 years?" question. He said that not only do a lot of veterans botch that question, but some of us actually panic in the interview when we suddenly realize that we don't know where we're going with our lives. And justifiably so, because we have been so focused on the incredibly complex task of transitioning out of the military while simultaneously still working on the day-to-day mission that it's almost impossible to really think about our futures. In a lot of cases, transitioning service members are forced to make these snap decisions about where they think they're going in the future. Decisions that are really just placeholders to get through all the different things on our checklist that we have to get done in order to be allowed to leave. In other cases, there are legitimate, practical realities about post-military life that we really can't consider until the boots are over the power line. But so what? If a bit of flakiness is sort of par for the course, why even bring it up? Well, first of all, it's important to recognize that for most retirees or veterans, a military transition is a major life event, especially for the lifers. And that major life event comes at an odd time compared to the life events of most Americans. It's not that crisis of purpose that most Americans have as they approach Social Security age, and it is not the famous midlife crisis. But it's easy for people to mistake the reason for your military transition malaise. In fact, it's easy for you to mistake the reason for it. But remember, this flakiness is not caused by some flaw in you as an individual. It's caused by a leap from an organization that uses mission command, and task organization, and skill specialization. An organization that emphasizes leadership and delegation and getting things done at the lowest level possible. And at the other end of the leap, who knows? I mean, they may be industry leaders at mass producing leather products at low prices, but I'll guarantee you, they don't get it done the way things get done in the Corps. The second thing to recognize is that civilians, and really I'm talking about employers here, they're going to be confused by our transition. You see, many members of today's civilian management have gotten to their current position by moving from one organization to another. They went from working at Walmart to Kmart to Target. And they didn't have any transition difficulties. And surely a nuclear submarine is, well, it's pretty much the same as a Sam's Club. But all sarcasm aside, their ignorance of our transition process can lead them to assume that there is something far more problematic going on behind the scenes. We probably want to downplay that whole stranger in a strange land experience. So finally, how should transitioning veterans approach that whole question about where do you see yourself in 5 years? I don't exactly know. I'd love to hear your thoughts, but here's my idea. To be honest, I know that there's things I don't know. So my first goal is going to be to learn from management and my coworkers. That's going to take some time, probably not 5 years, but it'll be an important part of figuring out where I fit in, where my skills are most valuable, and how I can add the most value to the organization. And that is going to pave the best way forward over the next 5 years. I don't know. I'm sure you have a better response. Oh, and while you're thinking about that response, check out this video to see a small facial expression that you might be making that might be undermining your performance in interviews.